President Trump said in an interview airing Wednesday that intelligence officials tell him torture works.
But I have spoken as recently as 24 hours ago with people at the highest level of intelligence, and I asked them the question, does it work? Does torture work? And the answer was yes, absolutely.
This comes as reports say President Trump may order a review that could lead to the CIA bringing back a program for holding terror suspects in secret overseas black site prisons. But some members of Congress think this would be a bad idea.
Congress has spoken, and when it comes to enhanced interrogation techniques, that sort of thing, my understanding is I haven't seen the new executive action or what's being proposed, but my understanding is that they're going to look at, examine some of those issues. But with respect to torture, that's banned. The Army Field Manual, it makes that very clear, and the law now is tied to the Army Field Manual.
Well, I think that this would be a step backward, and I'm not alone in thinking that the path he's going down is wrong. It is not about our values as a country, and don't ask me, just ask John McCain.
And Senator John McCain said in a statement Wednesday, "We are not bringing torture back in the United States of America." Former CIA Covert Operations Officer Mike Baker joins me now. So, Mike, the president says he believes enhanced interrogation techniques work. Can you explain, first of all, what enhanced interrogation is?
Well, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, that we're revisiting something that we didn't think we'd be talking about after all this time. Enhanced techniques, look, in a simple sense, if you have a high-value detainee, one option is to sit and talk with them, right? That's it. You're trying to develop a relationship. I don't want to make this too simple, but you're trying to develop a relationship. It takes a period of time, and it may or may not work. But it is usually, whether it's for the CIA, the FBI, or anyone else in the past, that was always the go-to, even though the enhanced techniques gathered most of the attention. Enhanced techniques then move into areas like very monitored sleep deprivation over short periods of time. It can include very monitored stress positions. And so those are considered enhanced techniques. What took all the air out of the conversation, of course, was the use of waterboarding on a handful of occasions. And at a certain point, as we all know, eventually the previous administration decided, okay, we're going to take all of those off the table and simply go by what's allowed in the Army Field Manual, which essentially is talking to the detainee.
Oh, so besides what President Trump said in that interview, the New York Times published a purported draft executive order on U.S. interrogation methods that White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer said Wednesday was, quote, not a White House document. What do you think? You've had a chance to look at it. What do you think of this document?
Well, here's what I think. We're not going to go back to the days, I don't believe, no matter what the sort of the immediate short-term headline may suggest, we're not going back to the days of using enhanced techniques. Now, here's the rub. People will say, well, waterboarding doesn't work. Enhanced techniques don't work. Well, what does work is keeping the detainee unaware of what potentially could happen to them. That is, by definition, what you're trying to do in an interrogation situation. You're trying to make it so that they're always on their back foot. They're always unsure of what could happen. When you take that mystery away, when you take that out of the kit bag, whether you're going to use any enhanced techniques or not, if you just declare, we're never going to do any of that, well, then the detainee has very little concern about what could be happening down the road. And so they have also very little interest in cooperating because they know exactly what you can and can't do. So my point has always been, I don't want to go back to those days of saying, yeah, let's put waterboarding back on the table. But it was a mistake to tell all those hostile elements out there who do not have our best interests at heart. It was a mistake to tell them what we could and couldn't do, whether we were going to do those things or not.
So then I guess the natural follow-up question to that, Mike, is would we be safer if waterboarding was back on the table, you think?
Well, I think it's a hypothetical question because I don't think we're going back there. But this is where it's layered. This is where it doesn't lend itself to sort of the histrionics that engulfed this conversation several years back. We're safer if we have an environment where those detainees don't know what we're willing or able to do. That's my point. I don't think we're going to go back to it. Look, torture doesn't work. Torture, I'm no problem saying, torture doesn't work. Do enhanced techniques, the judicious use of enhanced techniques, and if people had taken, if people knew what an actual, not Abu Ghraib, that was not an interrogation facility, but an actual interrogation center looks like, it is a very labor-intensive place where you do all your homework, because your point of view is you go in to sit down with that detainee. Yes, you want to get them to talk. You want that relationship. That's what you're after. You're not after to go straight to guns with an enhanced technique. That's not the point of the exercise. But to have that as a potential in the mind of the detainee so that they don't know what's coming down the pike, that helps you. That helps the ability to try to move that relationship along further so that you can get the information that may then operationally be important to preventing, disrupting, or minimizing a hostile operation.
Well, as you know, there are some in Congress who are adamantly opposed to the notion of enhanced interrogation techniques. But I'm curious what you think. What other obstacles do you think the Trump administration could face if it tries reversing any bans on enhanced interrogation techniques?
Well, I think they'll get a great deal of pushback, frankly, from the CIA itself, saying, look, we've already, in a sense, litigated this in a very public way. And I don't think they want to go back down that road because, they would likely consider the fact that, look, we did what we were asked to do, what was authorized during the Bush administration, and then suddenly another administration comes in and there's no top cover. And then suddenly there was a potential for officers at the CIA and elsewhere who had been engaged in authorized activity to suddenly become, in the firing line criminally. And nobody wants to go back to that. So I think the idea somehow that the White House will arbitrarily say, we're going to do this, they're going to get a great deal of pushback, I suspect, from the CIA, from the military, and other agencies within the intel community. You're going to say, no, look, let's just move on. Let's move forward. Let's not move backward.
Well, it's not at all a straightforward issue, as you've just spelled out for us. Mike Baker, thanks so much for your perspective. Appreciate it.
Thank you.